everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So this Q&A was basically thrown onto the schedule after a few people recommended it in the general chat, but also just to kind of have some general conversations with the community over things that are being worked on. Also, one of the biggest things that we want to talk about with the community is around obviously when we've been communicating that cells are being worked on. It's actively being worked on over the past few weeks and currently still being worked on, balancing and functionality. And then with that being said, once that is complete, the original plan was to release Aether Planet with the new cell system. I know there's been a little bit of a kind of 50-50 split from what I've seen with players in different suggestions and chats about whether they would want to see Aether Planet released with the cells or whether they would want to see Celestial reset with cells. So that is something that we kind of want to have a discussion and see where you as the players feel about that. I will tell you, as far as like the admin team, we're split a little bit as well. Some believe that we should reset it Celestial with it, and there's others of us that believe that we should release Aether with it. So we'll talk about that more in depth, but we'll open up the floor, let people have questions and things first. So let me enable the hand raising for you guys real quick. No way Michael is first. And yeah, so we'll jump into some questions, or so basically, if you have any questions about anything in the game at the moment, or if you just have any topics of discussion that you want to talk about with the admin team, this is where you would have that opportunity. I know sometimes we'll join general calls and have those discussions with you guys, but this is an opportunity to have those discussions on an open stage so that it's a direct you versus that, or not versus, but you with the admins. And then it also allows the rest of the community in here to kind of give their input. All right, let's start with Michael, I guess, even though I already know what he's about to ask. Yeah, go ahead, Teza. Do that.
Hey, what's up, team?
All right, which one of your three questions are you going to ask?
All right. My first one is when are dungeons fully releasing? Okay. My second one is why is potting up on the team? And my third one is when is Covenant PP coming back?
Oh my god, you actually asked them. Dungeons is not something that's currently being worked on because cells are being prioritied, so I don't really have an answer for you on when that would be. PvP is not even a question. I'm not really sure why you actually asked that. And then potting was brought on to help the team out. There's a couple of us admins, aka me and Slayer, that don't have as much time or dedication as we may have in the past due to other responsibilities and things that we have to deal with. So just kind of giving some extra support to the guys that are already there, needing it with tickets, testing, etc. So potting
Can we get
was
some words from the new admin?
sure.
Hello. What did you want to ask that you didn't already ask? Like, are you being for real?
This guy's such a geek, bro.
Anyways,
All right, those are my questions.
all right. All right. Invited the next person up.
Oh, hello. So I had a question. I saw in the updates site the cell thing and the guards. Are the level 40 guards coming back, or at the new system of guards? Something I don't know. If it's a sneak peek or something. But what guards or what type of ride we will get with the cells?
So guards are going to be somewhat similar to how they were before, where they're upgradable. Um, Taza, if you want to speak more on how they're going to
We don't
work.
want to give too much away, but it will be similar in some aspects and completely different in others. So you'll still be able to upgrade guards, you'll be able to have different tiers of doors. The functionality of that isn't the same though.
Oh, okay, okay. And anything new with the Aether planet? The last question.
So, with Aether Planet, I mean, the idea at the current moment is still to release it when cells are ready to go. So, if we feel comfortable and confident that cells are going to be fully complete and balanced and everything that we need them to be next week, then Aether Planet would probably get announced on Monday to start up this Friday. But that's also a conversation that we want to have in this Q&A with people so that we can understand what opinions others have around it. Because again, there's some people think that Aether release should happen with cells. Some people think that it should wait until Celestial resets. But again, we'll discuss that more here in a bit, kind of as an overall thing, and let people chat what they think it should be. So,
Okay, okay. Thank you.
thank you. All right, Resistus.
Hello.
What's up?
No, honestly, just one simple question for now. It was about an enchant that was recently added. Leadership, from what I know, on Sky is supposed to be removed because of the how like it's not a good enchant overall. It's abused in many ways. So why was it even added on prisons if it's an enchant that doesn't work on Sky or isn't liked on Sky?
Why does it matter what the enchant does on Sky? It's different on prisons.
I'm pretty sure it's the same, no? I was told it was the same at least.
Well, it's different gameplay.
It's different gameplay, but it still incentivizes more reason to gank more than like actually have a like proper fight. That's the reason why it was horrible in Sky as well. That's why like there was, from what I know, reasoning to remove the enchant simply because it incentivizes ganking more than playing the game as you want to play.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I believe it incentivizes playing with your gang.
Yes,
Also
but it's still
in the same edition we added an enchant that really discourages fighting in a gank.
I mean, multiple gangs, yeah, but like I'm specifically in a gang v gang scenario. It's just it changes the entire gameplay from doing damage to not doing damage, and then when you have like 1v1s or something like that, the entire gameplay just changes. That's one of the reasons why it feels bad on, or like it doesn't feel good on Sky, because it turns PvP from one-shot PvP to you can actually turn on bot PvP.
Yeah, but it sounds like that it's designed for certain scenarios. So, I mean, again,
I mean,
I don't know exactly why we're comparing it to Sky, because at the end of the day, Sky's mechanics and gameplay is not always the same as how it is on prisons. Prisons is built around ganking people sometimes in certain scenarios. It is built around jumping with your gang to try to catch somebody off guard when they're not paying attention. So I don't see a reason why adding an enchant that assists or enhances that is necessarily a bad thing. Just because it changes how you build sets or how you do things for 1v1 scenarios versus gang scenarios, I don't think that should matter. It's just a different way to play.
Okay, I'll leave it there so I don't take that much time so other people can speak.
Okay. Anybody else want to step in? There's only one other person that's got their hand up, and they've already gone. So I want to give everyone an opportunity. All right. Restyle.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, I guess my big question comes from like if anything's gonna be done about TPing, because I feel like it is a gang game and you should be able to like jump people, but like I feel like people being able to TP in while running, and I know like it is an issue where people have macros just to TP accept, and if you're running away, they just hit that macro and half their team comes in. Like I'm not sure how much of a how that can be solved. Like if it can be one of those things where it's like people have to stand still, like both parties have to stand still while TPing, it fix a lot more of those issues. And you can still gank people out, but like not while running or chasing people and that kind of a thing, you know?
So we literally had this conversation in the general chat. I want to say yesterday, actually, and after discussing it with the people, like I don't have an issue with adjusting things there. I think the easiest way to mitigate what you're referring to is putting a cooldown on TP accept or TPA, so
Yeah.
that one single person can't just TP accept, TP accept, TP accept, TP accept nonstop. Like they can only do it for 20 seconds, and then in theory it would have to be a chain reaction. The person who TPs in would then have to accept the next person. So that would, in theory, break it up a little bit versus changing it completely. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't have an issue with looking into that if it's a pain point of some kind, but I think the best solution would be to just break it up. I don't think requiring someone to stand still is the solution. I think just breaking it up, adding a cooldown would be probably the best bet.
I mean, yeah, if that's how you kind of feel about it, because like I just feel like, you know, if someone's running away and that kind of a thing, because like I've had scenarios before where I'm running away from like two people, and then it's four people, and then it's eight people, and it's just like it's really hard to get away from those situations. If like they have to stop to like actually TP somebody in, they have to decide, and it's not one of those things where it's like their teammates still can't run there. It just makes it harder to get, you know, absolutely jumped. But it's one of those things also where if you want to jump somebody, you can TP people in beforehand and then go at them, you know, that kind of a thing. But
And
if you
again,
feel,
I hear what you're saying, but I think in your example, let's use your example as
hmm
the example. You're running away from somebody.
yeah,
They have their gang, or they're communicating with their gang probably in Discord. Hey, I found somebody. Okay, cool. Well, now they can TP accept one person who, by the way, TPs to where they accepted it command. It's not where their player is when the countdown is done. So if you're running away from this person, technically the person who TPs in is going to be much further away from you as you're continuing to run. Now, if we break it up and put a cooldown on it, so before that person could just spam accept, like you said, right? And then all of a sudden there's 5 to 10 people that could potentially be spawning in that spot where they accepted it. Well, now they can only accept one person before it puts them on cooldown. So
yeah,
now it's just one person that TP's in. That now that one person has to accept the next person. So it's gonna break up the thing. You're probably gonna have less of a situation where you're seeing 20 people get TP'd in behind you, and you're probably gonna see more of a situation of people using homes or warps or things like
yeah.
that. So
hmm
which
But I will
is
say, like, when people get TP'd in, like, they do spawn where they're TP'd, yeah. But like, if you're not Martian, you're cooked. Like, people just being able to jet and catch up, it's crazy. But I mean,
Real
yeah,
quick,
that's just a
is
separate.
is the TP accept behind combat tagged or not? It should be.
I believe it would be.
yeah,
But if
they're
you're chasing something, you wouldn't be in combat.
yeah, they're referring
Necessarily.
to situations where they're running from somebody. So the person that's accepting the TPs is not in combat. They're just out like looking in the overworld. That's the examples they gave me yesterday. Taza was they're just out like doing stuff in the overworld. People are hunting people down, and then when they find somebody, they just mass TP accept their team in, and then that's
Oh yeah, we used to do that a lot.
so
That was common. Yeah.
So just putting a cooldown on it, I think, would fix the majority of what your concern is. But
That's all I have.
if it still becomes an issue after that, then we can discuss other options and see. But I think that alone should fix what your concern is. So.
Yep. All right. Audio.
All right. Appreciate the question, man.
Mhm.
Okay, Savage.
Yo,
Oh, that's good.
you ever thought about bringing back like space nuggies?
I mean, Space Nuggies is something we could definitely look into bringing back, but as of right now, I feel like the more content that we need is not like that. Overworld content is good. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not trying to say that overworld content's not something that we should add, but I feel like there's other things that we could add for overworld content that would just be more entertaining and better for the player base. Not to mention, there's other content that I'd rather do first. In reality, like the first question that got asked today about dungeons, I would like to add dungeons to prisons. I think adding dungeons to prisons would be a really cool event that people would be able to do from the beginning of a map even up until like later parts of the map. But there's other things that I feel like are priority, like exec mine, additional enchants, things like that. I've seen a lot of suggestions about fixing perks at outposts and things like that. So I think before we jump into like older new content is what I like to call it, like stuff that we had on old prisons that would fit in well. I want to get more of the what I would deem as necessities on the server first, but nuggies were fun.
Yeah, and then my last thing is, you ever thought about bringing the shard shot back? 'Cause I've seen it pop up in chat, so I don't know if that was like thought of or anything.
Well, the shard shot was already coded by Landon, but it's not something that we're ready for yet. So I don't know if you remember.
But it's going to be coming back eventually.
I would say most likely at some point it will come back, but it needs to be fine tuned and just worked on a little bit before we actually bring it back. Because the way it was designed in old prisons was obviously to get rid of the massive amount of shards that people would get. You would get a lot more shards than what you get now. And so we would have to figure out balance what that looks like, balance what the shop looks like. Remember, the shop had a lot of like generic M chests in it on old prisons, a few like OP ones. So it's something that would need to be worked on a little bit more. I mean, it is already coded in the game. So once we're ready to potentially add it, it shouldn't be too difficult. But for right now, yeah, it's just I don't think we have enough in the game for a shard shop yet. So
yeah, that sounds good. That's everything I had.
All right, appreciate the questions, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Did I accidentally move one of my admins to the... No, I didn't. Okay. All right, RTZ.
Yo. I only really have one, I guess, tiny question, which is just that what was the thought process from the admin team behind putting things such as shard satchel, contraband satchel, etc. in PvP gated areas? I just want to like say that I understand PvP should obviously get better stuff. That's perfectly fine. I just don't understand why mining related things are exclusive to PvP. Like the shard satchel, contraband satchel, those are mining. I mean, I guess contraband you can say for meteors, but shard satchel is exclusively just mining.
So even though shard satchels, contraband satchels, whatever, those additional kind of satchels may be geared towards the mining aspect of the game, there's not a whole lot of mining loot in the game. Like, yes, there's shards, yes, there's contrabands that you could technically put them in, but those are also items that can be obtained in a large quantity. So to keep items in a more of a rare state and more of a valuable state, unfortunately, they do need to be placed in areas such as merchants, such as I mean, sure, bandit boxes potentially could be placed in those as well, but the biggest thing is like when we're adding new things like those to the game, we're thinking of where a good spot to put them is. That number one would be competitive for different groups, doable by different groups as well, but then also rare enough to where it's not going to be saturated into the eco and be something that just everybody has. So we do want them to be valuable, and then down the road, once we see how the drops look in those different areas, we can look at adding them to different things like bandit boxes, other bosses, altar loot, whatever the case may be. So, I mean, the idea is we're not intentionally trying to lock them just behind PvP enabled things, but those events typically are the best place to add them when they're originally added to the game to avoid the eco of them being too much.
Interesting. Okay. When are we getting loot table GUI? Like, I mentioned it to you last night. I just am saying this more so for the people that are in here because a lot of people want it. Things like the altar boss, for instance, give completely different loot, depending on if it's like chain, gold, whatever. Koth is pretty much the same, but like bandit boxes, like a lot of these things, nobody can actually see the loot table for unless they have, like you can't see a bandit box loot table unless you have a bandit box that's opened in your inventory. You can't see altar at all, can't see merchant loot. So just some way of being able to like do a command to see what all the loot is would be really beneficial for, I mean, newer players and people who've already played.
Yeah, I mean, a loot GUI for different events would be definitely a good QL. I can agree with that. It would just depend on how easy it is or difficult it is for Landon to do, because obviously we have certain things that we're trying to prioritize right now, but um, it's definitely something that's on our list to add, just when I don't have an answer for that, unfortunately, right now. I would hope that like the next round of QOL stuff that we do, it'd probably be easy enough to add at that point, but we'd have to just wait and see.
Fair enough. And then my last thing's not a question. I just want to state that since I know you'll talk about this a little bit later with the whole Aether / Celestial and stuff. I know a lot of people that are like haven't really played Prisons yet would like Aether as the cell release planet, just to get away from the whole dupe situation that was on Celestial, and a lot of Celestial being kind of botched. People having perm G kits and ranks that they shouldn't really have, and just the fact that it's been a 4-map old planet, people would really like a fresh start with cells on Aether. And I know that's a controversial subject that will be talked about later, but just wanted to give my 2 cents. So that's all. Thank you.
Sounds good. Alrighty. LSJ.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello. Okay. Okay. Question for the new map, are you gonna have new like are you gonna revamp it? Because it's just old maps. It's kind of boring.
I mean, we haven't really had any conversations around revamping the pit map, but I mean, I'm sure that's something that we can talk about and see if it's something that we would want to do. Is there a reason why you would want a different pit map?
Just it's been around for hours. I mean, not hours, for years. Also, will you bring meteorite showers?
I think meteorite showers already exist, do they not, Tessa?
XP showers exist, but not
We
meteorite
have
showers.
XP showers.
Oh, okay.
We don't have meteorite showers yet.
Okay. Could you just elaborate more on the dungeons thing? I wasn't in the call yesterday for that part.
We didn't really talk about it yesterday that much. It just the dungeons topic is just literally adding a similar, not similar, I guess, but think of dungeons back on Cosmic PvP and how they were. with boss fights, puzzles, parkour, things of that nature. Like, we would love to have a prisons version of that, because at the end of the day, the dungeons events were just really good events. It was somewhere where you could put decent loot, you could build pretty neat loot tables around it. They were super unique and cool events for people to do and test their skills with their groups. So it's just a good event that we feel like would really do well on the server if it were added. So it's something that we'd like to work on at some point and add, but we're focusing on cells at the moment.
Okay. I believe that's all for me for now. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for the questions, man.
Cool.
All right, Michael, I'll give you another chance.
Okay. Are cells all in one world?
What do you mean, like all the
No.
different tiers?
So does each person that owns a cell, do they get a world generated for them, like the Skyblock stuff?
No.
No.
So they are all in one world?
Each
Like,
tier is in
each
one world.
tier is in
Each
one
tier
world.
is in one world. Okay.
Yeah, so the low tier cells will all be in one world, connected by hallways, similar to how it was in the old. Think of plots. The plot tiers
Yeah.
have their own worlds. It's similar to that, where all the same tiers will be in their own world, and the next tiers up will be in their own world, etc.
Okay. I know OSY also had a question he wanted me to ask.
Okay.
All right, hang on, let's see. Oh no, he said ignore it. I think he got stage fright through me.
Nice.
That's a bit unfortunate. But yeah, that's all I had, bro.
All right. Well, thank you. Good sir.
Take care, man.
All right, Pi.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, so I was wondering, like, do you guys have plans for like the new gens and crude ore for the Aether release?
Yes.
Tezza, I'll let you take that one. Depending on how much info
Sorry,
you
I
wanna
was completely zoned out. I heard gens.
give.
Yeah,
so
do you
there's
have plans for like changing the way from old gens to maybe any new ideas for them and how they'd work when they released when they release next week or whenever they release?
There will be different functionality for G-Top, but the base like gameplay side of it will be like pretty much the same. We're just gonna buff it a bit and make it worth using them, and then obviously have the difference between the ones in the cells versus the one in the plots.
Yeah, if I could suggest something, it would be to limit the amount of gens that like there shouldn't be like being able to buy infinite amount of them, I don't think. Because that just like when there's 70,000 emerald gens in one block, that just like I don't know, it's not fun. It kind of
I-
like I think it should be gens should be more like stronger, but only one per, and you could maybe buy like 10 of them from shop, and you know they're obtained through loot pools instead of like straight money, stuff like that. Like like how Sky has it.
We're open to change, but that kind of change isn't really going to be it. In all honesty, it's one of the key things that people have had for a long time is being able to make certain gen setups and stuff. Like if it's something that has a lot of traction to it and a suggestion, we can look into it properly. But at the moment, I can't see anyone affording over like 20,000, 30,000 gens at once, because obviously the eco is much less than it used to be, and the limitations on stacking gens. Stacking gens, you get like a very depreciated value from it. So if you're gonna stack gens, you don't earn as much as if you were to place them individually.
Yeah, that
So-
that makes sense. I'll work on a suggestion.
But yeah, if you make a suggestion, obviously you get some people to give some feedback and we can take a look. But the base functionality for now will be the same, and then if we need to down the line, we can make it so that we increase the price of them and then just buff their gen speeds and stuff to make it more like you're not having thousands and thousands.
Yeah, no, that sounds pretty great. What about the like the way cell defense setups are like compared to how they were in old? Because when they were in old prisons, they would be able to be cheese. There was like a new setup coming out that would make it significantly harder. Is there like, have you guys for sure made it to where like there's a set limit on the difficulty and you can't really get too difficult with the cell defense setups, or are you guys gonna have to go in and edit it every new season or 2 seasons when people adapt and get better at the rules and all that?
So with the new cell defense system, obviously we're not leaking too much. I don't know how much has been said by other admins, but when like you won't be like the easiest way to say it is without leaking the whole thing. There's basically gonna be new cell defenses coming out.
I mean, do you
every
not
map.
want to? Do you not
Like-
want to say how it's going to be designed? Like, do you think that's going to give anything away? Really?
I mean,
It's up to you.
yeah. I think. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't gonna say anything, but
I don't. I mean, I think we can give like a little bit of info with it. Obviously,
Okay, well-
there's not going to be a ton of like until you actually get involved with the cell defenses and see it firsthand. You're not going to really fully understand what we're saying. But essentially, like in old prisons, you were able to build your own cell defense from the ground up, basically. Whereas now, there's going to be set modules that you're able to place in your cell defense hallway that people have to get through. So it's not going to be a situation of players like building an unrateable defense or glitching the inspector out to where you can't get in, or the opposite where they find like a loophole in your defense and they're able to get through it. Like we are obviously testing all of the different styles of defenses. We're making sure that things feel good as far as raid times and balance. But it's going to be, for players, it's going to be a lot easier to understand than the old system was. It's very straightforward.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool. So, will there be like preset cell defenses? I think I.
they're all preset. The modules are preset.
Okay, and one last thing. Will Schematica? Well, I guess there wouldn't be. Well, maybe Schematica would still be a thing for like building gen cubes and shit, right? Is that a thing in the server still? Schematica?
Yeah, people still use it. As long as it's not
Alright.
printer, you can use it.
Yeah, as long as it's not printer.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. I'll that's all my questions.
All right. Appreciate it, man.
Good luck with this next season, guys.
Thank you.
Real quick for you guys before we bring someone else on, just answering your question, Danny. We've spoken to Rob about that, but that's out of our control. That's up to Rob. We have chatted with him, and we know he is speaking with people, but it won't be for Aether release. That's all I can say right now.
Is this for the YouTuber question?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I'll just add to that as well. I mean, obviously, having bigger named people come on the server will definitely help certain seasons and certain things. But I do want to just make a point that a lot of like those bigger quote unquote YouTubers, streamers, like they're only going to enhance that time that they're playing. Like most of them, there is no retention when it comes to the players. So if you're expecting a big name YouTuber to come on, like people say it all the time about Preston. Why doesn't Preston post it on his main channel? Things like that. It's like, because really the only increase in player count that you're going to see is going to be people trying to see Preston on the server. But if Preston's not on the server, those people aren't going to be logging back in. But it is something, marketing, reaching out, those kinds of things. It is something that we are in conversations with Rob to try to help do differently than what we did in the past. So, all right, Kelvin.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. My first question is for that OSY guy as well. He was asking about if godly enchants would be considered in the near future.
Yes, godly enchants are something that we're looking at trying to do in the near future. That's probably,
Perfect.
I would say it's probably the next thing on the to do after cells, as
Nice.
we go into the next kind of different events and things that we would want to add. I think Godly Enchants is something we would want to do pretty soon.
Okay, perfect. And my other question was, after our 100 cap, I feel like currently like player retention kind of hits a dip because obviously you've got 101 cap and 102 cap, and when sales come out, that should, obviously make their, like, there's items to grind towards or things to grind towards by prestiging. But except from those, will there be other things like we used to have exec mine when you hit 100, amethyst when you hit 105? Will there be more things for people who prestige? Are they rewarded for prestige? And obviously they get some buffs, but more in the sense of gameplay features.
100%.
Okay,
I mean,
perfect.
again, that's something that we definitely have on the docket as well, and again,
Yeah.
that's why I think Godly Enchants would be the next step after cells, because
Yeah.
exec would be the introduction of executive enchants. So
Yeah.
you can't really have executive enchants coming before Godly, in my opinion.
Of course.
So
Of course. Yeah.
it's definitely kind of a chain reaction of what we want to add to the server and when we can. Obviously, our biggest thing right now, that we've literally been talking about it for the last few weeks, is cells. Once cells are in a good spot, once cells are completely off the docket, then we'll start working on the next thing. But just to kind of put it out there, Godly Enchants, exec, most likely executive enchants would be something that would come probably a week or two after exec mine itself, just because it most likely wouldn't be the same time. And then dungeons is also something that I feel we would want to work on pretty soon, so that there's a fun event and a good event that's on the server that people are able to do from any time in the map. So I think
TLDR, we want to really focus on a lot of end-game content. Like, that's our next big thing we're aiming for.
Yeah.
But after cells, it's just a bunch of end-game content.
Another
with
prestige
exec,
potentially as well.
Yeah, with exec, for example, one thing that I really want to do that we planned on doing on original prisons when we released exec was making it so that the mine was actually dynamic, and like every single day or every couple hours or so, like the routes would change. So it was never just a matter of once you mastered it once, you knew that route that would get you to the end perfectly, easy peasy. Little things like that.
Okay. And my last kind of question was, when it comes to item rarity currently, I feel like obviously stuff like shard satchel and blink trinkets, I feel like they're probably like your top items. Are we gonna see more like items where like, I feel like obviously back in the day you had like the Dark Star, you had your Vampire Blade, you had your Dracula blades. Are we gonna get more like cool rare items where like you're you're hyped about pulling it almost, if that makes sense? Some big hype items eventually.
I mean, we definitely want to, but we want to be very careful with it.
Yeah, not OP in a sense, just more like rarity, if that makes sense. Like items like couldn't necessarily be OP, but are still like kind of rare to pull and need like a little bit hype.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like admin type weapons, admin type gear. Like I personally, I would love to add more things like that. What was it, the Black Cleaver or something that we added like last
Black
map?
Clover, yeah.
It just things like that I feel like are very unique and would be cool to add to the server, but in proper ways. Like, I don't want to make something that's too broken. I also don't want to make something that just has a bad taste in people's mouths, and they're like, oh, well, great, here now we just got this crazy OP item that people are able to get. So it's something that definitely is in the back of our minds as far as creating cool things like that, but I think the bigger focus is just getting general items that can go into the eco.
Yeah.
Because without more general items and more things to make loot tables kind of unique, and disperse things, like that's what we need first. So, but as we continue to go through like different holidays, that's why, like, for example, this weekend, we wouldn't normally, like in the old prisons, make a Mother's Day weekend stuff, but what that allows us to do is create another CC that can go in the loot tables, another bundle that can go in the loot tables, another M chest that can go in the loot tables, the red roses. So having those additional kind of like unique items that can be sprinkled into different areas, and then when the maps reset and you see those types of loot in certain tables, you're like, oh, hey, that's what I want to pull. So yeah, well, once we get more of those types of items in the eco, then we'll definitely change gears and probably do some unique admin type weapons. At some point, I want to get lock boxes back as well, because lock boxes were super cool.
Sick.
And we could lock things behind those, and that way it wasn't a situation where you pull it day one and you automatically get it. It's something that takes a couple days to actually get. So
no, that's perfect. Right, that's all my questions. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, man. All right, Trip.
Yo, what's up, Taza? I just wanted to ask, like, what are you guys gonna do to keep player attention? Because it seems like the map dies before even 100 comes out.
I mean, the biggest thing that we've saw from players as far as the reason why they're not being retained right now is content. Is certain content. So that's what we're focusing on right now is just
I see it as like the game currently is boring and you could add as much content as you want, but the core game's gonna be boring to play. You know, everyone calls it a prison server and a mining server, but at the end of the day, Cosmic was built on PvP and the PvP aspect because that's what made it different from other servers. So what are you going to do to adhere to that environment?
I don't think the majority of the server is PvP. If you're trying to retain players, you're trying to retain the majority of the player base, and the majority of the player base on Cosmic Prisons is not PvP oriented. So I would disagree with you that that would be what we need to focus on. I feel like PvP as a whole is already something that gets worked on a lot, gets focused on a decent bit. That's not retaining people. It's being able to do certain things that will help causation of PvP. If you add overworld events that people are able to do that ignites PvP, sure. If you add dungeons that people are able to jump in and disrupt with people and start PvP, sure. But I don't agree that like if we were talking about Cosmic PvP right now, sure, I'd agree with you 100%. But Cosmic Prisons was never focused around the PvP aspect of the game. It was a good competition type feature of this game mode, but it was never the priority. It was never the main thing that people were logging in to do. So I
don't know. I remember that 90% of the community was PvP based, but
90%?
Yeah, I would argue that, yeah. Back in old prisons.
I would argue with you that it was not. I would bet my life savings that it was nowhere close to 90% PvP oriented.
Okay. What's going on with the G top, G point? What's changing with the G points? Like, is it still going to be the point system, or is it going to be changed to value, or?
It's going to be basically a blend of both. There's still going to be points that you're able to obtain from events, because in reality that should be a thing. Like if you're going to win top gang on the server, you should be able to do the top events on the server as well. So
I guess my question is, like, are you going to be putting like a node in your cell where it holds the gang value, or how's like rating going to work?
So we're still, I think, finalizing that piece, right, Taza?
Yeah, we have the base ideas down for most of it. The main concern, obviously, is the claiming of purchased gang points. Obviously, just seeing as spawn trading energy, there's no fun to win gang top. So kind of something to combat that. And then potentially some kind of cell core or something of the like that could be used to raid the gang points that are claimed versus just leaving them as unraidable value. But undecided right now. But we're open to suggestions, so if you have anything, let us know.
Yeah, I made a gang point suggestion.
We'll take a look. Cool.
Okay, I guess that's all.
All right. Appreciate the questions, man. All right, Black Lotinus.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know much on like how your, I guess like pipeline for how you want to do like getting new content, creating, testing, and putting it out. Had you guys ever thought of like adding more people that know coding to like your testing that can test the stuff and then give back to Landon on that? Or just adding like more people to work on content? Obviously, Landon um, is your main tester, but or not main tester, main coder, but he does a lot of the big content. What about like smaller things like bug fixes or getting projects started? You guys could move that off to like other people. They could start it or even like finish some things, and he could work on the main features. And I'm not saying that just because, or like not to say he's a bad coder or anything. I'm just wondering that opens up your ability to make a lot more content. So that seems like what you guys want to do, and I think that actually would allow more people to like stay and do stuff, not have those big gaps in what people do, like the everyone kind of quitting before 100 and stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, I hear you loud and clear. I think if Landon were here, he would tell you though that like it's not always quicker or more efficient to have somebody else that's coding adding things to the majority of everything. We've had plenty of conversations with even Landon himself about how if he would want to bring somebody on to help him out, and he doesn't. He's very confident and comfortable with the workload that he's got. He typically works on bugs and things in between things being tested from the team. If you're talking about adding more people to test, we literally added Potting Up this past week to the team to help with the admin teams as far as testing, as far as tickets, exploit testing, and different things like that as well. So, again, I do hear what you're saying, but just adding an additional dev doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to pump out content faster. Also, we don't want to necessarily pump out content super fast. We want to make sure that when we put something on the server, because when we're testing it with a handful of people. We're not testing it with 60 plus people, 100 plus people, or if it's on a reset, 500 people. So it wouldn't really make sense to add 3 major content updates into something and then stuff starts breaking and we may not be able to pinpoint it. So it's a lot easier to address those types of issues when you're releasing things in more of a linear state than just dogpiling it all on.
Okay. Yeah, that's mainly one of the things. It's like if you started something and then you work on it, someone else can start something else and kind of keep that linear progression. You aren't pushing everything out at the same time, but it's like a workflow kind of going through. But I do kind of like the way you think of that.
I mean, I'll tell you this: we have a very good workflow that's been messed with since the team has gotten together. Like we literally started doing things on Trello. Now we're on a completely different system that Landon preferred, and the team has gotten used to it, and things work pretty smoothly with the team and the developer. So I don't think that. Again, I don't think that the workflow is necessarily the problem or the progression of getting things out in a timely fashion is the problem right now. It's just making sure that what we're pushing out is in a good state. That's what our main focus is right now. That's one of the reasons why Aether was pushed back, because cells weren't completely ready. We wanted to make sure that they were fully balanced, fully functional, not any kind of unique little issues, and so that's kind of what our main focus is right now. We're obviously still trying to add other things after that, and we've got that kind of lined up and ready to go. He's already started working on some of the other stuff that is in the pipeline while we're waiting on finalizing cells. So, yeah, I feel like we have a good system, but again, I heard as far as what you're suggesting, but I know that if Landon were here, he would tell you that he doesn't necessarily want that additional help on the dev side.
All right, yeah. Was there also any talk on making changes with like clue scroll tables and stuff?
So
I know some people do a ton of them in that, but
Yeah, we can talk about this in here. We talked about it in a general call yesterday, but I'll mention it here in the Q&A. Clue scrolls back in old prisons were very basic. For whoever remembers, it was literally natural XP that you got from them, money notes, and you had a chance to get the contraband of that tier. That was it. You didn't get any additional loot. You didn't get any white scrolls, meteor flares, G kits, or anything like that from them. They were basic, bare bones loot, natural XP, money notes, and chance to get the contra. So when we made clue scrolls this go around, we made them similar, except you get your natural XP. Instead of money notes, you get energy, because in my opinion, energy is much more valuable than money notes for players when they're playing prisons. And then you still get a chance to get the contra of that level, but if you don't get the contra, you get a guaranteed other piece of loot. So in theory, clue scrolls now are better than they were back then. The only thing that we have to do now is we have to balance them appropriately. I know I've heard from people that the energy gain that you get from them is just, it's trash. Cool, no problem. We can look at adjusting some of those like higher tiered clue scroll energy levels and see where we can balance those. And then I know that some of them also said just like certain items are more valuable in like the ultimate ones than they are in the legendary and godlies. Cool. No problem. We can move around some of the loot, but at the end of the day, clue scroll loot is never meant to be OP. It's never meant to be crazy good. It's always just meant to be a chance to get the contraband or nothing. Whereas now, you at least get something.
Okay. Thank you for all that. Tell Landon, I say thank you for all the good stuff he's been making.
Hey, no problem, man. I'm sure he'll listen to this later. So, appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, Hedgie Master.
Hello?
Hello.
Yo. Hi. So, as somebody who has like only recently started like actually trying to build a set hard, it is really difficult to like build a god set. And as somebody who has mostly just been mining around casually, like I'm a very casual player, going around a mine and just chilling and then somebody showing up in a god set and just annihilating you is really obnoxious. Is there like I think I heard from somebody else that there used to be like an alternative system for upgrading your gear through the wormhole rather than books. Is there any chance that we might be bringing something like that back, or maybe some sort of like demi kit or something? And like,
I mean,
you know, just to try to.
I mean, to answer your question about demi kits, I mean, G kits are being slowly introduced into the game, which obviously when you upgrade the G kits, you get better gear out of it. And that's kind of the idea with those, is to eventually get to the point where you could pop a max level G kit and have something decent enough to go and survive in the mines. As far as the enchanting stuff, I'll refer to Taza on this more because he is more understanding of how the old system worked. But to my knowledge, we are not planning on reverting what we currently have as far as the system.
Okay.
The old wormhole system was like 2017, 2018 Cosmic. That was taken away to kind of introduce. In the best way to put it, back then we had no zones. So a max diamond set could run into chain zone and two-shot a chain person mining in the mines. It was a worse system than the one we have now, in terms of like you guys can make your sets in your zones, stay in your zones if you want to, and if a diamond set comes into your zone, you're on an equal playing field. You can fight back against that diamond set because their enchants are limited to what you're already in chain. If we add like wormhole enchanting again, I feel like it'll be more of a pain point because you're gonna have 6 options of enchants. If you throw your piece in the wormhole, you can have 6 options. And then if it's not an enchant you want, then you've basically just like burnt an enchant on your gear. It just seems like an odd system to add back when we've already moved on and kind of implemented further systems. Enchant rerolls, yeah, but like you're also hoping an enchant reroll gives you one of 6 enchants you still want.
Well,
But
for
yeah.
that, I mean, couldn't you still use books as a sort of like kind of like how pickaxe enchant orbs exist? Couldn't you use them as like I mean, I don't see why you couldn't have both systems. I mean, I'm not a dev and I'm just a casual player, so like obviously I don't know the repercussions of something like that. But I mean, would something like that be feasible?
I feel like you'd overcomplicate if you add too many ways of enchanting gear.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to, obviously, we mentioned future content a lot, and we don't want to make it one of those things that we just drag on about, but future content is a lot easier when we have these books. Like Godly Enchants will just implement the book, and then you'll do it that way, and there'll be a rare item you can't purchase, there'll be in loot tables. We have exec enchants that you can only get from the exec wormhole. It's things like that. Like, if you had those systems, then we'd have to change how those systems work too.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and what I'll say is that we're never like in the state that we're in right now, we're never going to say no completely to any potential system change, but there really needs to be a good argument to make that change. And so what I'll recommend for you, Hedgie, is there is probably many suggestions that have already been created around this type of system being changed. Feel free to check them out, see if you agree with what's being said in those, if you don't agree, and just provide your feedback in those. Like, suggestions are always kind of ran through by the admin team when we're looking at things. So if we ever, like, obviously this week alone, we've seen a bunch of people talking about the wormhole system and talking about how they want to change it to the way it used to be. But when we read the suggestions and we go through the information, like, again, we just don't we don't see anything that really says, yeah, this makes 100% sense that we should change it. But hey, maybe your argument would be different. So, but feel free to check out those suggestions and give your input. And it's something that we continue to look at to just see if it is something that we do need to change or not. So,
All right. Well, that's all I had. So,
awesome.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
No, thanks for the questions, man. All right. I did turn off the requests for speaking just because we're already at the hour mark. So I'll go through the last ones here. We'll open up any final questions in the chat as well, and then we'll have a quick discussion about the Aether topic before we end. But CC.
Hello.
Hello.
Firstly, happy birthday, Taza.
It is not my birthday.
It's a year since you got helper.
That's anniversary, not birthday, but
it's basically birthday. But the main thing, I mean, Dalen just answered what I was gonna say, but can we look at getting energy enchants to help prevent Trusen and Verbalin? I mean, it's not been too bad this map, but the player count's also been pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you paid attention this week, but there was literally an enchant that got added this week that would assist with verbaling.
Oh, I haven't played since week 2.
Yep. So we don't need to have energy enchants for that. Like, there's different enchants that can be added and have been looked into.
But we like the power creep.
No, and that's fine. But I think before thinking about energy enchants, we should think about like the progression. We don't even have godly enchants yet, so that's kind of the
Then let's get them.
That's kind of the next step. Well, that's what we talked about earlier.
Could we look at adding like slime boss back? We missed the slime boss.
I'm iffy on the bosses. Like, I do like how the bosses were on old prisons, but I also didn't. I prefer bosses to be kind of more risk, I guess, if you're gonna do them. With like the altar boss, I like that was added. But I don't know. It's something we can talk about and see if adding leveled bosses.
I just feel like if you take the PvP part out for the casual people, right? Like, sure, we've got altar and all that stuff, but that's PvP risk. I'm just kind of thinking, surely it's good to kind of help the people that aren't interested in PvP, such as like the PvE boss farming kill stuff.
Yeah,
and all that.
no, I hear you, and I mean I'm trying to remember, Slayer. Do you remember if like because I feel like bosses when they first came out were kind of popular, but then they didn't really stay popular. Like the only people that
It's just
were
because the loot kind of got outpaced.
There was like hype on the day of release, and then that was kind of it with them for the initial part. We did get them into a good way towards the end of Prisons for the most part. But unfortunately, at that point, people just didn't really touch them, so it just didn't really pick back up.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
'cause you
I think
said
the other
Resi,
I think the other
The
biggest issue.
ROI on them just wasn't worth it because like the
Yeah,
amount of time we spent on them and they're balancing. Like I'd love to bring them back, and I would bring them back myself. I'm just saying, like in regards to everything else, it's not a high priority.
there's a lot more
Yeah.
important things that need to be added before bosses get
Oh yeah,
added.
yeah, 100%.
And I don't disagree that it might be a good thing to add for even casuals to be able to do them without having to deal with risk, but I think one of the biggest issues with them is like it's not just loot tables, it's also like what Slayer said, the ROI. Like when bosses come out, you have to sacrifice time mining or sacrifice time doing other events that might be more important to be able to do those bosses, and it just might not be worth it compared to the other things that you could potentially be doing and grinding. So
that system, it was just too much of a big gamble because you're basically relying on up to 99 other players to know what they're doing as well.
yeah, and with the slime when it came out, everyone died.
Instead of that, could we get BR and Sky, what's it called? The one with the islands?
Sky Wars
from Sky. Just copy paste it over.
I'm gonna be real with you. I'm less of a fan of minigame type stuff like that. I mean, we have different events and things that we can add that, in my opinion, people enjoyed, like Ground Zero.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think I would prefer to add things like that before I look into doing a BR or a Sky Wars type thing. But I mean, again, not saying that no, we'll never do that, but that's definitely, if it is something that we would consider doing, it's definitely much down the road.
Yep. And then the final thing is there any chance we can just scrap the entire idea of Aether?
No.
Oh.
Why would
could we at least possibly roll out cells on a different form to major bug test? Because I feel like, as a worst case scenario, if a dupe did happen on Aether, it would just be, it would be over. Because there's been a dupe on each planet now, on Celestial, if I'm correct. On each map, and like everyone's hoping Aether's going to be the fresh start, but it's also a huge piece of content, such as cells. And the recent large pieces of content have usually been associated with a dupe, such as the AH having multiple.
Yeah, but if the AH stuff is fixed, then how would that affect cells being added to Aether?
Because maybe something messes up with tests somehow in newly rendered chunks or something. Who knows? Anything could happen.
Cells on the back end is pretty much the exact same as plots. The only difference is it's PvP enabled and it's raiding. That's the only difference.
I get that. It's just like the in case, but it's like the paranoia of what has happened.
I get the paranoia.
Hear you.
Don't get me
I hear
wrong.
you, but at the end of the day, we can't go based on concerns. If we released based on concerns, then we would never release anything, because there's always a potential concern that something's going to happen, something's going to break, something's going to get missed in testing, even with using multiple players and different personalities and perspectives. So there's like, we can't go forward based on that kind of concern.
Yeah, I understand.
What I will say is, I mean, I understand there's a lot of arguments for releasing cells on a reset Celestial versus a new Aether. I don't think what you just stated is necessarily a reason to do that, though.
Yeah, I think that's just more so people are worried about kind of history repeating in a weird way.
And again, I understand it. I understand the concerns, but at the end of the day, we're not gonna we're not going to run the server based on those kinds of fears, because if we do, then we're never going to release anything again.
I get that. And then based on that point, if there is worst case a dupe, could we just say kind of excuse my French, but fuck it, and remove every single thing associated with what was obtained from that dupe? Because I know on Celestial 2, the amount of G kits that people started claiming right after the large one, where quite a few people got banned, the amount of G kits and G kits just became absolutely worthless was unbelievable. And like the amount of energy that got released in the eco was a lot more than what people thought.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, one guy personally showed a few logs of selling like 300 mil energy day 2 or something, or day 3. It was day 2 or day 3.
And don't get me wrong, 300 mil energy day 2 is a lot, but it's not even
It's a metric
close.
crop ton.
It's not even close to what people thought that it was.
Well, even I mean, some people thought it was only like 100 mil released based on like this staff approach to it, like because nothing really got said about it.
Well, because it was caught pretty quickly for what it was. A lot of the people who were duping things, the duped items were removed from the eco along with the people that were doing it. Were there things that did get distributed in the eco, such as energy and some G kits? Absolutely. But a lot of people that were affected and directly benefiting from it were no longer on the server. Like they were not distributing it to other people. They were not hoarding it and giving it out to other people. Like a lot of it was nipped pretty quickly. So I hear what you're saying though. Obviously, with any kind of major issue, whether it's a dupe, exploit, whatever, the team's gonna look at the situation and determine what the best outcome needs to be for that scenario. If we feel like a complete rollback needs to be done to rectify something, then we'll do a complete rollback. We'll communicate it with the community, and we'll make sure that what needs to be handled is handled appropriately. But again, I think the biggest thing I just want to make sure that we're mentioning is, again, we're not gonna harp on that, because that's not a concern that we have. Like, is it a back of the mind concern? Always. But it's not something that we're gonna allow to dictate how we release things and how we handle things.
Yeah. No, that's fine. But yeah, happy birthday again, Tazzle. Alright, peace.
See ya.
Uh-uh.
All right. I'm probably gonna butcher this name. Juman.
Hello.
Hello.
So I apologize if anybody hears anything in the background. I'm driving home, but
You're good.
people keep texting me. There's a couple things that people have been asking me to speak on their behalf for. And I've been out of the loop. I've been in the woods all week. So I apologize if I repeat anything that might have been said while I was gone. My first thing would be with the enchanting of books. Is there any plans to possibly add like different levels of when you open a book? So instead of every book you open being a level 1 enchant, you could get lucky and roll a level 2 or a level 3, etc.
Yes. To answer your question directly, yes, we've already got that notated to be worked on, because when some of us didn't even realize that it was only level 1s that were being pulled. It's not just books, but it's also enchant orbs for pickaxes. So yes, it is something that we will be looking to balance to where you can potentially get other levels.
Okay, and I only have 2 more. The second one I have that a lot of people have been asking me to speak on their behalf for is, I know a lot of people are looking towards the end of the maps and are wanting to know if Carnage is going to be a possible thing that will be returning at all.
Yes, Carnage is something that we will get back into. I think with the last map, it was more of a quick reset, and a lot of the admins were busy handling things for the reset to actually be able to handle anything Carnage related. So going forward, the Carnage idea would be something that we would want to obviously do for players so that they have a fun final week on the planet. But it would be something determined when we're doing that. So.
Okay, and then I guess I have two more again because I just got another one.
Yeah.
So I was asked to ask about if when the plan is for more G kits to get added, I suppose, and a player nerf. I don't know what he means by that.
Flare nerf. I don't know what that would mean either. G kits being added to the game is something that we'll just casually continue to do. The idea is obviously to have different types of G kits, whether it's PvP related, PvE related, mining related. As more stuff gets added to the game, we definitely want to enchanter flares day one. You talking about fractured flares, guys, or are you talking about just flares in general?
Yeah, I just got clarification. So he's asking about kind of how it was this map of being able to go to the store and buy Enchanter, Starforge, G kits, and being able to pop those on day one when G kits are locked behind. I think it was like day 5 or something.
Yeah, I'll be honest, that's how flares have always been. Like, they were always able to be done prior to the actual G kits themselves being unlocked, so that you could get gear from them or items from them and things of that nature. So I'm not really sure why we would necessarily change that.
Yeah, I'm just going off of what I'm being told to ask. But my last one was, oh Jesus, I forgot it. I guess it wasn't that important if I forgot it.
That's okay.
It was my least important one. So
all good. Well, we'll open up the chat if you remind yourself of it. Then when we look in the chat for it in a bit, you can put it in there.
Alrighty, and I appreciate all of your time.
Yep, appreciate you. Just to reiterate with the Enchanter G-Kit stuff, I mean, if we feel like it's too busted, then we can look at possible adjustments to the energy, but I think at the end of the day, we also want to be very careful with adjusting things like that because we don't want to make it useless. I don't know if there's an easy way to make it where flares are different than G kits that are popped. So, again, we'll write that down. Just write that down for me, potting Enchanter G kit, and we'll talk about it as a team. 2 more people. Resistors.
Yeah. Actually, some items questions. When are custom sets gonna be added? Because I know they were talked about ages ago, and still haven't heard anything about those.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, there's certain aspects of the game that we feel are more important to be dealt with at the moment. Once we get those kind of done, then we'll be able to look at adding additional content such as special sets. But if there's nowhere to use special sets, then there's no real reason to add them yet. So we kind of need to add cells, exec, and a couple different things first before we worry about adding that.
Okay, and probably a question for my own sanity. What about Holy White Scrolls?
Nope. Don't plan on doing that.
Oh, yes! Yes! Okay, I'm good. That's all. That made my day. Peace.
All right. All right, RTZ, last one.
Yo, sadly, Landon's not here. I guess this was more of a question for him, but maybe y'all can answer. The beginning of this map, and I guess like all of last map, Landon was a lot more transparent about things. Posted more updates when server would crash or timeout or whatever. He also did dev streams. None of that has been happening for like pretty much all of this map. Is that gonna come back? Are we gonna get more like transparency from him and also just more dev streams? Because it's really nice being able to hear from the dev as a community. Like it's something that Cosmic never really had on previous servers, and so it was just really nice. And that going away has been kind of sad.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that he's been very busy with school and stuff. And
Yeah, I'll
and
throw my 2 cents on this. 'Cause I don't want to talk for him, but like TLDR, like the reason he's not here today is because he's graduating.
yeah,
Like he's literally graduating right now as we speak, which is why he's not here. So he's been very, very busy these past few weeks with all of his finals and all that stuff, as well as doing prisons. Which, if you think about it, it's kind of fucking insane that he's done all that and prisons.
yeah. I'll add to that as well. I mean, at the end of the day, none of us can really answer for him as far as being able to do streams or anything like that. That's going to always be up to whether or not he feels like he has the ample amount of time to do it. As far as like transparency, I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't think there's a whole lot of issues that he's needed to be transparent on. There's been a couple of crashes, and even the most recent one where we had host issues, he was the one who made the update about it. I know that he gets tagged a decent bit in the Discord, and a lot of times he's replying back to those tags. So he's still communicating as much as he can without overdoing anything, and with handling all of his other responsibilities as well. But as far as if he's going to have time to do those things that you mentioned, like streaming, yeah, that you'll just have to poke him probably in the chat, and then he can let you know there. So
Okay, sound good. Fair enough. Fair enough.
But I mean,
That
he
was
he is still talking though. Like I can literally scroll back up in the Cosmonaut chat where people were tagging him and pinging him, and he was literally replying back to people about stuff. So, yeah, just I think that's the biggest thing with any of us. If you have a question for any of us directly, like, you can always feel free to ping. If we're too busy to answer, we just won't reply. But if we're not busy and we're able to reply, typically we will. And he's the same way. So.
My
That's actually
last
crazy
thing is
timing. You see
is
what he
not
just
for
posted?
me.
I did not see what he just posted. What?
Landon just posted his graduation photo in the Slack, literally as we're talking about that.
W Mans.
Last question.
It's from Noob. Actually, I don't know. He didn't want to talk, but he wanted to ask if there's an anti-cheat actually happening to stop people from flying.
It's been worked on the back end, but it's been like it's just not been as high prio. But Landon has been working on that literally in like his own free time outside of the normal cadence.
Gotcha.
But
Okay,
yes,
cool.
it is being worked on though. I'm pretty sure he started working on it literally after people were complaining to him about it in one of the chats.
Mhm.
So
Okay,
he
cool.
is working on it though.
Sounds good. Thank you. That's all.
Yep. All right.
Buff people.
Oh, I don't know what he was about to say, but I kicked him right when he was saying it. All right. So real quick before we end this, or before we do some quick questions in the chat, I mainly want to get everybody who's in here your input on how you feel we should potentially take the next step once cells are complete. So, as I stated at the beginning of this Q&A, for those that weren't here, there's technically two options that I've seen different people talk about. There's resetting Celestial when cells are ready. The problem with that is that Celestial's not ready to reset, in my opinion. I understand the player base is low. I understand people are waiting for new content, more endgame content, and that we'd be looking at a couple more weeks of lower player count / dead planet. I understand that. But in my opinion, I would like to get into the habit of the maps actually lasting as long as they're supposed to, rather than just continuously early resetting them just because the player count gets below a certain threshold. With that being said, my opinion would be to release Aether with the cells update. And the reason why is, as some people have stated, like they might have their reasons as far as to avoid people that potentially had dupe G kits or whatever. I'm not super concerned about that. That's fine. You can think that my opinion sucks. I don't mind. You guys can have your own opinions about it. I'm just telling you what my opinion is. But my opinion is that Aether should release with the Cells update because that'll do two things. Number one, it will allow the Cells to be tested along with all the other content on a fresh planet. A lot of people are waiting on a fresh planet, would like to grind up a new planet. But at the same token, it would start that 2-planet process to where every quote-unquote 4 weeks-ish, we would have a new planet be resetting. The other planet gets into a more comp state, etc. So that's what I would like to see. That was one of the biggest things on Old Prisons that I felt really worked well and really kept things active a lot of times, was people jumping from planet to planet during certain comp stages and playing the game with their groups. So that's my feelings towards it. However, again, feel free to say Aether, Celestial, whatever you want to say, or even if you have like a reason why, put it in the chat. Make a poll. I mean, we could make a poll, I guess, but I hate polls. They don't always work. I'm just trying to get the idea of the people that took the time out of their Saturday to come hang out in here. That's really what I'm trying to do. Oh, poll in this chat. Taza?
Yeah.
When Gator doesn't know how to click.
I'm gonna say Taylor's showing his age right now, everybody.
What emoji should we use, team?
I don't care. Just put up a poll in the chat. Y'all can kiss my badonkadonk.
We were laughing the other day because Taylor really showed his age when he talked about how long he's been married to his missus, and Landon turned around and went, "Yeah, I was 6."
Yeah, bro, we don't have to say stuff like that in here. All right, we don't need to. The entire group of Cosmic does not need to know how old I am. They don't need to know how
It's
long.
in
I've
your
been married.
username. You can't really hide it.
You don't. You didn't have to tell them that either, because a lot of them didn't even realize that. See, there's literally people question marking it. They didn't even realize that, bro. Why? Oh.
Bro, I'm 30 this year. I'm feeling old.
Shut up, Potting. All right. I don't know when the poll's getting posted, because clearly it's not my fault. Is it already posted? It's not, right?
I mean, if you made it, it would be posted.
I don't know how to do that.
You click the plus button, and then you type
taking
6
Taza a little
words.
while,
Listen, if it's
okay?
taking Taza this long, how long do you think it would
No,
take me?
no. I didn't know what the full poll was. I thought it was just gonna be which one we resend first.
No. It's just cells with Aether reset or cells
Yeah,
with
that's what I did.
Celestial reset. And again, I want to be very clear with this poll in this chat, guys. Like, this doesn't dictate what we're going to do. It's just giving us as an admin team an idea of what you guys that are actually here prefer. But at the end of the day, like, we're going to weigh out the different pros, cons, whatever. I'm just curious, real quick, what you guys believe.
I'll throw my immediate concern. Like, I don't personally like the idea of resetting Celestial again so soon, because I feel like it's screwing some of you guys over when we reset a planet so early in its age. Now, I could be just completely off there, and tell me if I am, but that's just my immediate thought when it comes to that.
I can agree to a point. I know there's a lot of players who don't really care if it resets early or not because they're waiting for the new planet or the reset, but there are a handful and a decent chunk of people that do care. Like, they want to see the full planet play out. They want to grind out the gang points if that's what they're still doing, or grind out the prestiges if that's what they're still doing. And so I do think that some people do care that it resets early, but then there's a lot that don't as well. So
Yeah, and I get that, Mash, but to me, that's still 50 players.
And typically it's 50 players that are still active and still playing the game. Like, they're still the reason that the server even shows
We
50 players.
can't just add cells to a map that's currently up. It wouldn't work, unfortunately.
Yeah, the vote's literally about what I thought it was. Like, it's give or take. And I'm sure if we did a bigger poll with everybody included, it would be the same. I don't think it would be much different.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that want to see the new planet, want to see the new kind of fresh start. But then there's a lot of people that would just want to see this one get reset. So it's going to be one of those things where I think us as a team, we're going to discuss it. We're going to figure out what seems to be the best option, and we'll kind of go with that. And hopefully you guys understand with whatever decision we make. So, all right. So with that being said, we're 30 minutes over, but I want to give you guys one last second to, if you have any questions in the chat, to feel free to just say them real quick. So if you have any questions that didn't get answered or anything that didn't get discussed, I have not read the new damage doer suggestion. What's it about? Is Midas going to come out? Midas is probably not something that would come out for a while. We did just do a major revamp to Bandits with Moons. So, I mean, in my opinion, Bandits has a decent bit of content right now. But not saying that wouldn't be something that we look into doing down the road. Can we talk about how if you bring a diamond set in a chain zone, you have way better durability than a chain set, but you don't?
No immediate plans to add more game modes to people by knowing, no.
Lockboxes is something I do want to add in the near future. I mentioned it earlier. I think it would be a super cool way to be able to put high-tiered items behind, so that way people can pull them day one without people raging and going crazy on me. So that's why. Generators and loot pools, yeah, we could probably do that. We used to have generators and crude in certain loot pools. I think we talked about that this week, Tazza, didn't we? Like, just making sure we do it in a proper way, but we talked about
Yeah,
those.
we said it could be like a common or like a rare thing to just throw in there.
Yeah. Are there going to be gen boosters? Maybe not right away, but definitely
Not yet, no.
Definitely something we would probably want to add in the near future, but not right away. Will the bandits in the overworld and bandit bosses come back? Ooh, I don't know. Overworld AI's been really pissing Landon off lately. So
that's literally been the bane of all three devs that have been on Cosmic Prisons. Every single one of them have told me their passion for hating AI.
Yeah. Ranks coming back in all Contras, including uncommon Contras having ranks. Uncommon Contras do have ranks. I think the only Contra that doesn't have ranks is Simples, maybe. If y'all see a question that I don't see, feel free to answer it too. I'm just like looking for when I get pinged, but I'm also trying to see these other questions. If we were to release energy enchants, it would not be at the same time as Godly or Exec Avid. So it'd probably be a different week's update. But again, I don't know when that would even be considered right now. Why 2 planets instead of 1? Because as I mentioned earlier, I think starting that 2 planet rotation would be healthy for the player base and healthy for the gameplay and the comp. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's not really a whole lot of players on the one planet that's currently up. That's partly due to the beginning of the map, but that's also partly due to content that we're hoping once gets added will help later game stuff as well. So, champ pages other than bandits and destroying books. Like what, Romax? Are you going to be able to combine Tinker, Loot, Charge Orbs? I don't mind that idea, Blue. We could look into something like that. Tinkering Charge Orbs or a way to make them... Yeah, we could look into that. So P3 wasn't going to be added yet because there's nothing to put per import. We're working on P3 perks as we speak, Lone Wolf. The idea behind it is it'll be much better perks than the current 2 prestiges, so that it's definitely worth going to. But
yeah, I want it
obviously,
to have heavy incentive for people to want to grind for the P3 perks.
Yeah.
But I will ruin a lot of your guys' days now and tell you that most likely /fly will not be on that perk list.
I'll tell you 100% /fly will not be on that perk list. So I'll
See, I didn't want to crush all their hopes and dreams, okay?
Nah.
I only wanted to like mildly crush it.
Nah, I'm crushing it because /fly and P3 is stupid.
Yeah, I regretted that after we added it, but it wasn't something we could take away on all prisons.
Emit, that just sounds like maybe a QOL that we could potentially do, where it just adds the energy that's on the items to the energy that the tinkered item is. So, make a suggestion if you haven't already, and that's something that we could probably do as a QOL. Have you guys talked about nerfing energy gain from Outpost? We have discussed it. I know there's a really popular suggestion about it as well. But I don't really have any other additional info other than, yes, we have talked about it. Obviously, we've been a little bit more focused on other things right now, so Outpost adjustments haven't been on the top of that list, but we will continue to monitor that suggestion and continue to look at potentially making changes to the Outpost perks to balance it out a little bit more. Oh, I missed something. But bandit level requires back to higher numbers. They're too low. Reward the heavy grinders more, please. Yeah, that's a uranium question. He's been keeping more of an eye on the bandit level stuff, so better than bandits for energy gain. Mining will be better than bandits for energy gain in theory, yes. Yep, you're good, potting. Take a clue score percentage on pick prestige and make sure it actually works. I've seen a difference. I mean, if you don't think it's working, Blue, make a bug report explaining why you don't think it's working, and then we can look into it, man. Is there anything coming content-wise for smaller gangs that aren't running 20 deep? Like Stevo? Cells. I mean, I know smaller gangs usually thrive in cells. Just PvPing in the hallways and making cell derps and stuff like that. But other than that, I'm not sure what you're asking. Gang points will still be a thing, Girl of Golden. It's going to be mixed in with the gens and the cells, and it's going to be mingled together. So it will still be a thing. Makes us get rolled first in the wormhole. Nope, that defeats the purpose of the destroy rate flame reject. Destroy rate has to roll first when you're upgrading a book. Sam, we haven't determined if it's coming out next week or not. We'll know more once we know if cells are going to be ready to go or not. So we'll make an announcement most likely Monday if that's the case. Make Pulse actually worth something? What does that mean? Yeah, we're gonna have a different system for it, Girl of Golden. So we'll explain obviously more about it once cells are out and the system's out. Oh, it doesn't show chords. I think we talked about that. We'll note it. All right. I'm going to stop it there. If you guys have had questions that I didn't read out or anything that you want to still discuss, don't hesitate to make a suggestion if one's not already made, or feel free to even ping me in the general chat and I'll reply there when I have time. Can we make sure percentages are not on decimals? I have had a 20% destroyed. What? 20% or 20? I'm confused. Two zero. I don't know what that means. 100% books fail. Oh, that's interesting.
That was fixed.
Oh, there you go. Hey guys, that was fixed. I would assume this week, if it was something happened last week.
All right.
That was fixed a
Right,
couple of
end
weeks
it.
ago, but yeah.
This old man will keep on going. So
Yeah, I will.
Bill HF, everybody. Bye.
Goodbye.